Hello everyone, Alex here for another image review session. It's December time and I'm finally starting to have a chance to look at some of my pictures from Papua New Guinea. So this week we've got 28 images from Papua New Guinea. I have to say it still feels like I've not properly edited the selection down, but these are some ones that I've processed out early on just to begin to have a look at some of the shots. I was using the Sony A1 Nauticam housing retro flashes for this trip, and you should be able to see if you view this on full screen, certainly on a laptop or a decent sized tablet screen, you should be able to read the EXIF information on the right hand side of the screen to see sort of the camera settings. I won't always dwell on them. This first one though is taken at 400th of a second on f16, ISO 320, and it's just a simple leather coral on the top of a reef wall, picture with the sun bursting over the top. One of the things I like about the A1 is that ability to use that very fast shutter speed. It certainly makes holding the sunbursts really straightforward. Very, very simple, normal shot this. Common sea leather corals at the top of a reef drop off and have nice sun burning over the top. They've often got little things living on them. You can see there's a little goby in here. In fact, it's a great background for little goby shots and things on the underside of leather corals because it's such a weird, smooth environment to shoot them on. So it can make really interesting and pleasing pictures of them on there where they almost look like they're posed in a studio. So yep, that's the first shot. Let's move on to the next one. The next image is a wide angle shot, not shot with the fisheye this time, but shot with the WWL lens, and I like the different perspective that this lens gives. The aim of this shot was to shoot the Elisella coral, but also the little juvenile golden damselfish that are sort of hanging around it. And then I took this picture, very much with the background in mind as well. I wanted that big sea fan in the background to be part of the shot, and I wanted the schools of fish as well. So you've kind of just got these red stripes coming up in the foreground, and then the sea fan and the fusiliers in the background. Right, next up is another sort of classic PNG reef scene with sponges, whip corals, sea fans and schools of fish going on around it, taken on the same dive with the WWL 1B. And these are taken at, I think, Susan's Reef in Wollindi Bay. And here's Restorff Island, split level. We actually didn't have very nice light when we were there. And this is kind of very much a rescue job in terms of lots of shadows and highlights, type exposure adjustments to sort of pull some sort of reasonable split level out of the scene. But the island is nice. There you can see some of the island, and you've got underwater as well. You've got nice corals and things, and that sort of thing. Restorff Island is an awesome place. Just this amazing jungle-covered tiny island with fabulous corals all around it. It's particularly nice actually as a drone shot. It just looks so amazing. Right, moving on. A little dwarf goby on a big hard coral, Favia hard coral pattern. Just always nice to have a few coral shots and that sort of thing, and the goby just provides a focal point within the image. But it's really about that pattern, repeating pattern of the coral across the picture. An EMWL shot of a spine cheek anemone fish. The spine cheeks in PNG definitely look different from other areas. I know some of the anemone fish aficionados talk a lot about cryptic species, so where you have multiple species within what is considered a single species. And I know that they divide the PNG spine cheeks up from the Indonesian spine cheeks, and they certainly look and feel quite different. So behaviourally I can believe that. Whether they're full species or not, I'm not sure, but there's no doubt they look and feel a little bit different in PNG, which is cool to see. And yeah, this is one I shot quite a lot with the EMWL on the anemone fish. It always quite gives a different feeling shot to them. Right, moving on to a couple more macro shots. An elongated goby, the sponge gobies. This is clearly a patch that it uses for laying its eggs on. I don't think there are any eggs on it at the moment. I mean, I think these little marks, they're not eggs. And there's some white marks here as well. I don't think those are eggs. I think it's just an area that it's cleaned. It was very keen to stay in this position. But I think that this is its nest site, but there aren't any eggs on it at the moment. And then this is a little banded blenny, common blenny in PNG. And this one was sitting very helpfully on this beautiful royal tunicate. And this one was also yawning. You can see he's got his mouth way open like that as he yawns in the picture. He was kind of a cute little guy. I don't know why he was yawning like this. But yeah, it was. I saw him do it, so I hit the shutter at that moment. Barracuda are a big part of the trip, and actually I've got so many barracuda shots. I haven't begun to start picking favourites out yet, so I really need to do that. These are two versions, two black and whites, one a toned one an untoned one. I think I prefer the toned one. I haven't really decided yet, but they're the same shot. Just the pattern of the barracuda going across the frame. Just the density and the abundance of those barracuda schools in PNG is awesome. A few little macro shots, a few little macro patterns. This is the madriporite of a Linkia, a blue starfish. Kind of a cool little scene. The madriporite is the connection between the hydrostatic system inside pardon me, inside an echinoderm and the outside world. And this, the detail of is it an eye spot flounder, leopard flounder maybe, a flounder skin detail. Really, really nice patterns on this. I like about this one, it's actually, you've got this beautiful pattern, but you've got these two big scratch marks across the flounder here in the middle of the frame. I don't know how well you can see them. I'll zoom in on them there, which run across that are obviously, this flounder's been in a scrape at some point. But yeah, really nice little pattern shot. And then another madriporite of a different, because I think it's a cushion star, maybe a colchita cushion star, and just a nice pleasing little pattern of greens and yellows, not such common colours underwater. So I like those three little patterns. They were all shot on the same dive, kind of processed them out together just because they kind of match each other. And obviously pictures like that take fractions of a second to process, so they're easy to process out too. Some more patterns, but this time on a macro scale. Some amazing hard coral gardens near Lullabao Island. Really, really impressive, beautiful reef top there with these amazing hard corals of lots of different colours of table corals. But it's not just a table coral monoculture. If I zoom in, you can see there's lots of different types of corals and fish in the picture. You've got obviously a snapper and a Moorish idol there, but we've got branching acroporas, we've got some isoporas in there, some Pacillopora there. Really nice mix of life. Lots of Pacillopora down here I can see. And just, yeah, really nice to see, a really, 100% coral cover, but also not monoculture. Quite often when you get this very high coral cover, it's because of relatively new growth, and it's often very dominated by single species. And I like the diversity of these, and I took quite a lot of shots of this. They're all very samey, but they're really nice. I really like the mixture of colours coming through. And the way I shoot these with the Sony is I use the underwater white balance mode. So I use a little bit of flash, but mainly just underwater white balance. And it just gives great colours at these shallow depths. Just a tickle of flash just to lift the detail up. And it's a really nice way to shoot. And the pictures just come out the camera looking like this. I'm not 100% sold on the fisheye look of this. I'd rather it didn't kind of bend away at the bottom of the frame here, but I've left it like this, and I'm aware that maybe some end users will probably crop the picture, when it's used in magazines and things, because they also might not like the way that the fisheye bends away at the bottom of the frame. My barracudas were everywhere on this trip, big schools, small schools, and a big part of shooting this trip was having these cute little guys eyeing you up all the time on lots of the dive sites. Many of my favourite shots were always taken at the beginning of the dive. If you got in quickly, you'd often have a chance to shoot the barracuda before there were other divers around, and then everyone else would be sort of all around them, shooting them through the dive, so you get a nice clean shot at the beginning of the dive. It's a nice school of barracuda. And the barracuda was shot with the WWL there, these previous wide angles of fisheye. This is WWL as well, I think same dive. showing actually the variety of shots that those lenses give. And this zoomed right in on the WWL shooting this large coral grouper. And I remember this being a long exposure. It was 40th. I remember it being quite a fight to get that nice blue behind the coral grouper. But I like the coral grouper swimming over the coral here. Just such a beautiful fish, big male. Yeah, with that big tail, lovely pattern across its body. I shared this one on Instagram already. This picture here is of a crinoid underneath the dive boat. But the interest in this picture, because it's obviously not very exciting otherwise, is the fact that this crinoid had two crinoid shrimps really prominently on them, because it's taken at the end of the day, quite often in the evening. The crinoid shrimps, which load properly, there we go. The crinoid shrimps climb up onto the tips of the crinoid's arms regularly at that time of day, and you can see there's a crinoid shrimp here, and then also a smaller one here. There are probably some others around, actually. I haven't really checked the whole picture. But those are the two that I was trying to focus the picture on. And so it was just really nice to be able to get a crinoid shrimp in a wide angle shot. It's a great it's a useful shot for when you're showing macro shots of these guys. The macro shot is often just that little bit, and it's quite nice to show how it actually looks. So that's why I shot that. Moorish idol. This guy had amazing teeth, actually. I'll zoom in on his teeth. Look at his teeth. Pretty impressive rasping teeth on the Moorish idol there. And yeah, just a Moorish idol is a beautiful fish, but hard to shoot well. I think they look best photographed as groups, like when you have little groups of 4s and 6 or 3s and 5s and 7s together. They can look really, really nice. And this was just a slightly long exposure, 1/10 of a second with a bit of panning to create a little feeling of movement on the subject. A hawksbill turtle cruising down the reef. Just a very simple shot with a silhouetted reef. Half the picture's blue, half the picture's black, and then the turtle bisecting that. Just a sort of simple graphic shot. Next up, a school of longfin batfish with those characteristic black marks on their side, which show them the longfin batfish. Just a really nice formation shot with the WWL again. Giving me a little bit more working distance and allowing me to get this pleasing formation. I didn't take the FCP2 Fiji because I was a bit tight on baggage allowance on that trip, and I wanted to take the dome port to be able to do split levels. So I took the WWL and the dome port on this particular shot. So the fisheye shot, the turtles shot with the fisheye, the 8-15, and then this one shot with the WWL. Another one with the WWL. Oops, that's going to open up in Photoshop now. Another one with the WWL is this shot here of mating octopus. And this is the male reaching out with his... Sorry, let's just open it up. There we go. Sorry about that. This is the male reaching out with his specially modified reproductive arm, which I've forgotten the name of. And it's he reaches out and passes the sperm to the female with this arm. And this is the process of him reaching out to the female to pass the sperm to her. And that's what this shot is showing. We did some muck dives, and actually for me the attraction on those muck dives in the Vitu Islands were actually they had these beautiful big barrel sponges growing up out of the mud, and they were packed with life, and that pink background just created such lovely shots, and I shot everything I could against them. This is a hinge beak shrimp just on the pink. And one of my favourite finds was finding this blue spotted grouper inside one of the barrel sponges. And it made lovely shots. It was really, really nice setup. Very, quite challenging to shoot to get the light in there. But once I had the setup right, I was able to get the light down inside the barrel sponge and capture a couple of really nice portraits of this grouper, which I was really pleased with. Some anemone fish, some clownfish. The clownfish in PNG are the Amphiprion percula, which is often called the original true clownfish, or the eastern clownfish, depending on how you divide them up. As I think I said on another video, it's really just a legacy of which species was described first. It doesn't really relate to any evolutionary history, calling one the true one or one not the true one. But anyway, it's nice to get the chance to shoot the other species. Although I do feel that I think anemone fish taxonomy, we may find that they're divided up further, and actually several of the varieties of this type of clownfish through Indonesia may end up getting split into different species, because they do look a little bit different place to place. We'll see what the genetic studies bring really on that. This is a golden damselfish in amongst all the Elicella red sea whips. And then our final image shot, these are both 90mm shots, and so is that. The final image shot with the fisheye again is this great school of barracuda, and that's Kathy photographing them, providing a really nice focal point for the image as the school sweeps across the blue and out beyond her. This was a fantastically huge school of barracuda. Really great to photograph, and I really need to get out and process some more of these barracuda shots because I have lots of them. Anyway, that's a first stab at a few shots from PNG. Really amazing trip. Hope that was interesting.